One of the most common myths about atheism, a myth that is highly reiterated by many of religious persuasions, is that atheists do not believe in objective moral standards because a belief in objective moral standards requires a belief in some kind of deity that is the originator of morality. But this is an extremely false misrepresentation of atheism, and if one meets actual atheists, one will quickly recognize that atheists hold a variety of moral standards that they consider to be universally valid, objective, and absolute. And they also have numerous well-developed approaches to arriving at these moral standards. So, what are some of the ways by which one could arrive at an understanding of morality without any reference to a deity? One can employ natural law theory, as exemplified in the works of Aristotle, John Locke, and Murray Rothbard. Now, these three thinkers, at the very least, did not believe in the same God. Aristotle believed in a prime mover, God, who thinks about his own thoughts, and doesn't do much else, certainly does not interfere actively in human affairs. John Locke was a Christian who believed that rights were given to men by their Creator. But Murray Rothbard, in his extensive study of natural law, took all of the political and ethical elements from Aristotle's theory and from Locke's theory and formulated them in a manner that did not require any kind of reference to God. For Rothbard, natural law is quite abstract and impersonal and universally binding. Alternatively, one can espouse utilitarianism, as did Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill. Or one could argue for the evolutionary origins of morality, in the manner of Herbert Spencer and Friedrich Hayek. Hayek believed that moral codes in a society evolved as practical rules of conduct that made particular societies more likely to survive than others. According to Hayek, initially, there have been some societies that were cannibalistic, or where incest was widely practiced, but these societies fairly rapidly died out, or were supplanted by more viable societies where incest was for some reason a taboo, or cannibalism was forbidden. And people learned from their own experiences to shun these immoral practices, and they might have developed some kinds of religious or non-religious explanations so that most of the common people would understand that these practices are to be abstained from. Or, like the Enlightenment thinkers and Ayn Rand, one can see morality as originating from rational self-interest. It is in an individual's own long-term interest, all things considered, to be a moral person, because then he will be healthier, wealthier, and happier as a result. Furthermore, one can follow the empiricist consequentialism of Milton Friedman and try to arrive at morality by observing the outcomes of particular actions and human institutions. So, which actions would lead to the most desirable results, to human prosperity, to human happiness? Which institutions maximize wealth? Which institutions maximize social cooperation? Those are the institutions and the behaviors that we ought to embrace. One can also be a rationalist and try to deduce morality from first principles, like René Descartes assumed when he started with his first principle, I think, therefore I am, and from his own existence deduced the remainder of his philosophical and moral system. Alternatively, like William James, one can be a pragmatist and conceive of morality as a set of rules that happen to work in a pragmatic sense, however one defines work to fit the objectives that one happens to have. An essay of mine titled "Morality Does Not Require Religion" provides further discussion of why a belief in any god or gods is not required for an individual to behave morally. Another of my essays, Incentives for Moral Behavior, examines the real-world motivations of individuals of a broad variety of persuasions, religious or otherwise, to act morally. Both of these essays explain that there is in fact an absolute objective morality that transcends particular philosophical or ideological persuasions, and that many people of broadly varying persuasions, in their actual behaviors, approximate and discover independently the same moral rules and principles. So, if you wish to obtain a further understanding of this subject, I encourage you to explore these essays.